Every leader wants a productive team, but here's the truth. Productivity isn't about working harder, it's about working healthier. That's right, the best teams aren't just efficient, they're engaged, creative, and resilient. But how do you build one? Well, that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We're talking about optimization. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters better. Let's dig in. All right. Well, welcome to the Best in Class series on the Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Adrienne Benton. And in this episode, we're diving into how to cultivate the most productive and efficient teams. We're going to talk about what really drives performance beyond deadlines and task lists and how you and I as leaders can create the culture that makes high performance sustainable. Well, today I'm super excited because I have an amazing guest. He really is a guru, someone who is experienced in the industry. His name is Alan Lazaros, and Alan leads a global team of 18 individuals as the founder and CEO of Next Level University, a global top 100 self-improvement podcast that helps people reach their own unique potential in more than 175 countries. As a coach, trainer, and podcaster, he believes in a heart-driven, no BS approach to achieving both external success and internal fulfillment. It is my honor today to welcome to the Best in Class series, Alan Lazaros. Alan, welcome to Transformation Station.
My goodness, I'm glad I had my caffeine today. Thank you for bringing the energy, and seriously, thank you for having me, because in the beginning it was crickets and nobody cared, and I know a lot of business owners can relate, and now I just feel so grateful every single time. I'm honored to be on a platform like this. So Transformation Station, what a cool name. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. All right, so listen, Alan, every leader that I've ever met wants to be productive, right? We want to have effective teams. That I find, Alan, is not the challenge. The challenge I've seen over the years is that when you peel back the layers, most leaders are actually chasing busyness instead of true productivity. Okay, here's what I mean, right? We often mistake long hours, packed calendars, and constant activity for effectiveness. But I have found over 2 decades in this game here in the organizational leadership that busyness is not the same as progress. So I want to start right here, Alan. In your experience, what are the core ingredients of a truly productive and effective team? That's kind of A. And then part B is, where do you see most leaders get it wrong?
Okay, so A is, what do I find? Give me the first one again, because I went right to the second one.
No worries. What are the core ingredients of a truly productive and effective team?
Okay, you have time and effort in, and the where you put your time and effort. I think there's only 3 human resources. All of us, whether it's your team or the CEO, we all have 3 resources. Number 1 is time. Number 2 is effort. Number 3 is money. That is it. We don't trade pigs for cows anymore. We trade money, currency. So time, effort, and money, those are the only 3 things you have. So how well you manage those 3, and you know this as well as I do, Pareto's principle states that 20% of effort produces 80% of results. Well, 20% of money produces 80% of results as well, and 20% of where you're putting your time also produces 80% of results. So in the beginning, I had to do everything. And now here I am 8 years later, and we have an 18-person team, and I have to say no to most things that are not my top 3 things. So I have my top 3 priorities: coaching, training, and podcasting. You mentioned that. And I limit my calendar 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, front-facing, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. to only doing coaching, training, podcasting. Coaching is 1-to-1, training is 1-to-several, podcasting is 1-to-scale, and they feed each other. what I do in my one-on-one coaching with business owners, I use to learn what they're struggling with and bring to podcasts like this. And then podcasts like this, including my own, is where I can scale that voice, help people in the real world for free, and then some of them will come deeper. So to answer the original question, point A, the three ingredients would be time, effort, and money, and how well you use those as a leader. Because if you are not dialed in, your team won't be dialed in, and that's the leading by example piece. Now, the second question was, what do I see leaders doing wrong, including myself, in the past, and now too, but less, is basically you're expecting other people to have the level of commitment that you do. So I told this to my business partner, Kevin. He's the chief sales officer, and we co-founded the company. And I said this recently. I said, if anyone at Next Level University, my company, ever works harder or is more committed to growing the company than I am, I will fire myself as CEO. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not working smart. That doesn't mean that I'm working every second of every day. That doesn't mean I'm burning out. But it does mean I should have the highest commitment level. And if you are level 10 committed, you can expect your chief officers to be level 9. You can expect your directors to be level 8. And again, every organization has different titles, but essentially it starts at the top. And if anyone is ever more committed to growing the company and to the mission than I am, then I should step down as CEO and let someone else take that. And I think that that's what I see people doing wrong is, number one, they're not leveraging their time, effort, and money through Pareto's principle, which actually goes deeper, 20% of 20% of 20% of 20% of 20%, which we can get into. I'm an engineer. And then the second piece is they are expecting others to do things that they're not doing. And I'm not going to do every task, of course, but I have to be committed more than my team is. And they have to see me go into battle first. This whole lead from the back crap is never going to work. So I track metrics and habits, and I have a most important skill. And the coaching program that I do for my clients, I also am doing. And they need to see, they're watching always what you're doing. And that's how you create a culture, is you basically lead by example through your own core values and your own goals.
Okay. I like this right here. So to those leaders who are listening right now, Alan said some really good gems, right? He said, leverage your time, your effort, and your money. Point of assessment and reflection. Here in Best in Class series, we always take a moment to give ourselves an opportunity to process what we're hearing. So ask yourself this question, leaders. How are you right now leveraging your time, your effort, and your money? Alan, I love the fact that you shared with us that you prioritize what is important, right? You said, I do my coaching here, I do this here, I do so it's not like everything's jumbled up. No, you prioritize, you give it time, you give it space so that you can optimize it, right? And then you also reminded us that we are to lead by example. I love, the fact that you said that those who you are leading, they see you doing what you ask them to do, right? They see you putting in the hard work. They see you prioritizing, growing your professional development. And so they're able to follow your example. It's not do what I say, it's do what we corporately do, right? There's a shared togetherness in how we grow. As you were talking, I think another place that I've seen over the years where leaders sometimes get it wrong is mistaking harmony for health. Sometimes leaders, we think that if we have a nice team, if everybody's nice, the team is strong. And many times we avoid conflict, but avoiding conflict causes resentment. And I know I've seen where it stifles innovation because it's like that elephant in the room. Everybody knows something's not right. Everybody knows something should be said, but nothing is said. And now people get resentful because it's just like, well, if you don't have enough respect to say the hard things that need to be said, then and we watch productivity go down. I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different modalities of leadership and styles of leadership, and I playfully for a while there called me, Kevin, and Christina are the chief officers of the company. So I'm CEO, Christina's chief operations officer, COO, and Kevin is CSO, chief sales officer. And really what it comes down to is Christina's good at IT and back office work, but doesn't like to be front facing. I'm CEO and I'm a strong leader, although I'm cowardly at times. And Kev is really good with people. And you have to be really good with three things in business. You have to be really good at leadership, You have to be really good at metrics and habits and skills and structure and discipline and tracking and numbers. You have to know your numbers, and then you have to be really good with people. If you have those three, you're going to win in business, but it's very hard to have all three because usually if you're good at numbers, people don't like you. Okay, so...
or you don't like people.
Yeah, either way, right. So I used to playfully refer to Christina, Kevin, and I as the three cowards. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is none of us wanted to be bad cop. So for 4 years, so from 2019 to 2022, to 2023, basically the beginning of 2023, we grew 119% year over year. Crazy. Like really good growth. I mean, that you double your company every year. And we kind of lost it. We got a little arrogant. We didn't mean to, but it was just like the fish are jumping in the boat. You know, what color does it come in? We overextended. We're not the first business to do that. And then in 2023, we only grew by 18%. So we went from 119% growth to 18%. And then in 2024, it was only 11%. So we went from a 24-person team with 24 departments. We had an app. It was a lot. We had a charity. We still do. But Kevin and I had to sit down and I talked to him. I said, brother, we're going to go out of business. And he said, what do you mean? I said, dude, we were growing by 119% year over year and we've overextended. We hired too many people too quickly. And there's two ways a business fails, by the way. It grows too slow, that's the common one, or it grows too fast and overextends. And when you overextend, you have extra debt, you over leverage, you hire too many people, then it gets messy. Mm-hmm. And so we went from a 24-person team and 24 departments with a charity to me sitting Kevin down saying, dude, what are the departments we would go out of business without? And what are the people we would go out of business without? And we came up with 18 people, and we came up with 8 departments. So only 8 of the 24 departments we would go out of business without. And so we had to get refocused. So I think life is expansion, refocus, expansion, refocus, expansion, refocus. And the refocus phase is always so painful. Because in the expansion phase, everyone's loving life, everyone's getting a new car, everybody's loving life. Oh, growth, baby, growth, baby, growth, baby. And that's awesome. So this is what I say. Leaders, when growth is happening, have to stay humble as hell. Mm-hmm. Winter is coming, don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. When fish are jumping in the boat, do not get cocky. Mm-hmm. And then when tough times come and winter comes, you got to stay optimistic. Mm-hmm. You got to stay hopeful. You got to stay focused. Because a lot of people are the opposite. When they're winning, they start celebrating and overextending and buying stuff. They don't keep it skimpy. Mm-hmm. And then when they're losing, they lose hope. No. When you're losing, stay optimistic. When you're winning, stay humble. And we made that mistake. I'll never make that mistake again because letting people go was one of the hardest things ever. But ultimately what I'll share is this. We were the three cowards. We weren't saying things that need to be said. Mm-hmm. Neither Christina, Kevin, or I wanted to call people out for their bullshit. Mm-hmm. And eventually I had to be bad cop. And I told Kevin and Christina, I said, listen, if I have to be villainized, I will. I have to make tough decisions, otherwise we're going to go out of business. And I upset some people, and they got upset with me, and it was a whole thing, and they tried to poison the team against me, and all this stuff. And while I didn't handle everything perfectly, I would say that I handled things respectfully. And I also think that I had the wrong people on the team. You can't invite the Trojan horse into the castle. And so we now know who to hire and who not to hire. And I'll give you this quickly. I think every business owner needs their absolutely people and their absolutely not people. And I think this has to come for customers and team members and clients. So my absolutely people that just jive really well with me are very, very inwardly humble. They're coachable. They want to reach their full potential, sincerely, not fake, not status. And they have high freaking work ethic. If you do not have work ethic, you are not going to get along with me. And I'm not going to get along with you if you are lazy or entitled on any level. So my absolute people have high work ethic, very high work ethic. They are consistent and reliable. The people that are my absolutely not people are what I playfully refer to as spoiled brat syndrome. They want big rewards for minimal effort. And they chase status at the expense of true growth. And those are my absolutely not people. So there's two types of people I can't stand. One is spoiled brats who are entitled, who think they deserve things by default. And my second one is bullies who are disrespectful and chop others down and aren't happy for other people's success. And so as long as you have humility, work ethic, and a sincere interest to reach your potential, we're going to get along great, and I'm going to be a wonderful leader for you. If you are entitled on any level and you're lazy, you're just not going to want to be around me, and I'm not going to want to be around you.
I love that. So to leaders who are listening, I think one of the things that Alan is showing us is that it's really important as a leader to understand what your non-negotiables are for leadership.
100%.
And how that applies to how you lead, and how that applies to how you interact with your team members, and what you expect from them. And this is another good place for reflection and assessment, right? So those who are listening and watching, when this podcast is over, I invite you to stop and ask yourself, what are my leadership non-negotiables, right? How does that impact the team that I lead? So Alan, I want to ask you this question that I'm really curious about. From your experience, how would you define like what is peak performance, and why is that important for a leader and the team that they're leading?
Nice. I was a peak performance coach for a while. I did a bunch of different modalities of coaching. First it was fitness, then it was mindset, then it was peak performance, then it was business consulting. I eventually landed on business coach. I've been coaching for 10 years. I have 11,193 as of yesterday coaching sessions, trainings, and podcasts under my belt. I look very young, so I track everything. So people know I'm not just talking, right? But anyways, so to answer your original question, peak performance is an idea and a concept in mathematics of the optimal stopping problem. So optimization, multidisciplinary optimization, the one thing, duality, all these things, game theory, infinite game versus finite game, all these things come into play. And a lot of people don't know or haven't studied what I just shared. So I'll try to make it as simple as possible. Peak performance, if you remember math class, picture performance on the y-axis and too much or too little on the x-axis. Too much anxiety and you don't perform well, but too little anxiety and you don't prepare. So there's an optimal stopping problem. There's an optimal performance. It's Goldilocks, too much, too little. So I always use, you put the nachos in 3 minutes, they burn, you put them in for only 30 seconds, and the cheese isn't melted and they're disgusting. The optimal is 2 minutes. So peak performance is doing the optimal thing at the optimal time, in the optimal way, with the optimal people, for the optimal reason, in the optimal amount. And that's the leader's biggest challenge. Is on a chessboard, there's 32 pieces, and there's an optimal move for every position on the board. That's why computers can always beat us at chess. But in life, it's an infinite game, and there's infinite pieces. There's 8 billion pieces technically, but you understand what I'm saying. So as an engineer, everything's a math modality of thinking, and there is an optimal approach to everything. And the duality of life is, which is holding two seemingly opposing ideas in your consciousness simultaneously. The duality of life is you have to find the optimal decision, knowing you're never actually optimal. So Aristotle used to say, well, people say do the right thing, but who can do the right thing at the right time, in the right amount, with the right people, for the right reason? That's what leadership is. Knowing you'll never actually be optimal. It's basically like you're going into leading a team and you're taking responsibility in advance for the vision of the company and for the growth of the company. And you know you're going to have to make decisions that are challenging and that challenge the status quo. So people are going to villainize you because they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. Because what you're doing is based on a future potential that no one can see. This is why the visionaries of the world are always hated, because they're doing things that are based on something no one else can see yet. Most of the decisions I make on a day-to-day basis are not going to be understood until decades from now. And even then they might not be. So at the end of the day, I had to realize, okay, so I have to paint the vision and reverse engineer it and explain it to everyone else so that they understand the decisions that I'm making, or I need to ask for their trust because they can't see what I see. And that's the burden of leadership, is you do see things other people don't. I can't understand why people only live for the now. It makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't you invest in your bigger, better, brighter future? But maybe they can only see a week out. So leaders are visionaries who see days, week, months, quarters, years, decades out, and other people are living in seconds, minutes, and hours while you're living in decades, and you feel misunderstood and villainized because of that. And it's a whole thing. So to answer your original question, peak performance is trying to make the most effective decision possible in the moment, given the circumstances and the goals and the person's, places, things, and ideas around you, with the time, effort, and money you have at the time.
I love it. I was thinking as you were talking, I got kind of got stuck for a moment when you said that leaders are visionaries, right? So to the leaders who are listening right now, you might be in a season where you can see very clearly that vision is there. You're excited. You're just trying to figure out, how do I move the vision forward, right? Alan talked to us about being able to take time to prioritize, make the main thing the main thing. You might be listening right now as a leader who's stuck. Like, you had a vision somewhere along the line, life was lifing, and that vision has started to get cloudy, right? But it's important that you get that, you reset the vision so that you can have that peak performance that Alan's talking about. Alan, I was thinking about this, right? So like bottom line, peak performance matters because it's the bridge between potential and impact. Without it, leaders and teams risk settling for busyness, burnout, or mediocrity instead of thriving. I have found throughout different seasons in my career that I was surviving, not thriving. That peak performance was somewhere out there, like in Never Never Land, and I was desperately trying to call it back. But sometimes, because of the busyness and burnout and mediocrity that started to raise up and become priority, I was losing being a peak performance leader, and then found it very difficult to even have that expectation for my team because, like you said, we lead by example. So when my team sees me busy, 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 burnout, 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 mediocrity, right? Mediocre. Well, guess what? Like you said, they're going to reflect the same thing. So here's the question, right? When a leader notices that their team is losing momentum, right? Or morale, what can, from your experience, right? What can they do to re-engage and refocus? You started talking to us a little bit about it, but take us a little bit deeper. That leader who has lost momentum, what can they do to start to re-engage and refocus their team?
There's two times of the year that are the most frustrating for me, and I understand that I'm unique in this. So I'm going to answer your question, but I want to preface it with something. So Michael Phelps spent 5 years in the pool, no birthdays, no holidays, straight before 2008 Olympics. He has 28 Olympic medals, 23 of which are gold. Now, not everyone wants to be Michael Phelps. I understand that, but I do treat myself like an Olympic athlete, whether anyone wants to understand that or not. So the first step to the peak performance question of what happens when leaders feel like they're losing momentum in their team is to check in on your own momentum. If you are losing momentum, you got to solve that first. So there's a concept called targeting the constraint, whether it's Six Sigma, 3 defects per million transactions, or constraint theory or game theory. You basically at all times have a constraint. So for me in fitness, my biggest constraint is my right knee. I did a workout last night. My right knee was what was constraining me. It wasn't my cardio. My cardio was good. My strength was good. My right knee was stopping me from achieving my goal. So I have to do work on my knee, and then I'll overcome and get to the next level. And then guess what? There's going to be a new constraint, right? It's going to be my shoulder, or it's going to be my cardio, or it's going to be. So the moment you set a goal, you have to be subservient to that goal. And this is why it's so difficult to balance professional and personal life, because it's easy for Michael Phelps to say, hey, I'm going to win an Olympic gold medal, so I can't be at the barbecue. But what about us business owners? Well, what do you mean? You work for yourself. You make your own schedule. Why can't you be at the barbecue? It's like, listen, my goals require me to not be available. And people take that very personally when you don't wish them a happy birthday. Now, part of me is like, hey, grow from third grade. The other part of me understands and empathizes. So to answer your original question, though, the leader has to self-assess first. If you are not optimizing and peak performance and dialed in more than the rest of your team, you have no ground to stand on. You have to fix that first. Now, the 2 times of the year that I can't stand the most, and again, don't villainize me for this. This is me speaking as a business owner.
Right.
I can't stand the summer and I can't stand the holidays. And the reason why is because you can research this. The productivity of the globe goes down like crazy during those times. And it drives me nuts. Okay? Not everyone needs to be like me. Don't villainize me for this, but I haven't taken a full day off in 10 years.
Oh.
I'm not burning out. Okay, sometimes it's 1 hour a day, sometimes it's 18 hours a day. Usually it's around 10. And I love my life and I love my work. Usually people come at me, that's so bad for you. No, 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 that's bad for you. I'm more fulfilled now than I was when I was lazy. Okay? So this is the life that I've chosen. And by the way, this is what my goals require. I promise you that. Okay. That aside, there's 2 times a year that I can't stand. It's the summer when everyone is frolicking.
Okay.
And the holidays. Now, the summer is usually for adventure and kids are out of school. I understand. I don't have children yet, so I will understand more soon. And then the second piece is holidays. Now, I came from a family that didn't have a very strong family paradigm. I kind of lost 3 families by the time I was 14 years old. That's a whole nother challenge. So for me, as someone who focuses on productivity and peak performance and optimization and conscientiousness, it's very hard for me to watch people complain about not achieving their goals, but then go to the beach every other day. So number 1, check in on self. Do you have level 10 commitment? Do you have level 10 focus? Do you have level 10 productivity based on your own company's standards and goals? If the answer is yes, okay, good. Now, who isn't matching that with their number? No one's ever going to have 10. So if you're the 10, the next closest business partners or strategic partners is going to be 9, then it's going to be 8, then it's going to be 7, then it's going to be 6, then it's going to be 5. One thing that I've come to learn, and this has been really hard for me, is that business and leadership is kind of for warriors. And I have a very warrior energy. It's very intense, and I trigger people a lot. I don't mean to. My business partner, Kev, everyone loves Kev. They're like, I love Kev. What a good guy. Unfortunately, no one says that about me. Blows my mind because I feel like I'm doing a lot of good in the world, but I've never been a very likable guy, I guess. The point that I'm making, though, is that I have a warrior energy. Remember, warriors are valued during war times, not during peace times. Michael Jordan was valued when the game was on the line. Everyone considered him an a-hole when the game wasn't on the line. So you got to be very careful as a leader. People have to want the pros and the cons. Okay? I'm not saying Steve Jobs did everything perfectly. I'm not. Okay? What I am saying is there are pros and cons. Nobody's perfect. And could he have achieved what he achieved and been nicey nice all the time? The answer is no. Now, did he have to be toxic and disrespectful? The answer is also no. But there is something to be said for holding a standard and holding other people to that standard and expecting that of them. Because what I used to do is, okay, I'll just lead by example, I'll expect nothing of anyone else, and I'll expect everything of myself. That does not work. I tried that for years, it doesn't work. So this is my new metaphor, and I'll get off the soapbox. I looked this up recently. There's 1.3 million individuals in the United States military. Only 300 of them are on what's called Delta Force. It's the most elite military force on planet Earth, apparently, based on the research, okay? Most of my listeners in the US, so forgive me for that. I know you're in Italy. I know this is a global podcast. I'm not an ignorant American to the fact that everything revolves around America. That's not my point. My point is 300 people out of 1.3 million comes to 1 out of every 4,333 people. So if you are a warrior who wants to be on Delta Force, you come to my company. We do not mess around. We do not lose focus. We do not frolic. We are consistent and reliable, and we have a growth mindset, and we work on ourselves every single day. Every team member tracks metrics and habits. Every client tracks metrics and habits. We have everything clocked. We all track our time. We all allocate to our top priorities. I coach everybody. I like to think of us a little more like the Spartan 300. I don't want to build a company personally that has 300,000 people. I want 300 people that are Spartans that you can change the world with. And for me, I've had to learn that the hard way when I realized that average, ordinary, mediocre, all these terms are the center of the bell curve. And the center of the bell curve, if you want an ordinary life, that's totally your prerogative, and I totally understand. Please don't villainize me. I won't villainize you. I honor your choice. But you're not going to work at my company, and you're not going to work at our company, because quite frankly, what would happen is someone who wants an ordinary life would come on an extraordinary team, get triggered, and then attack us. It's like, listen, we're not attacking you. You said you wanted to be here. And then when you found out what it was actually like to be here, you attacked us. And I'm not for that. So now I have a filter that I can actually share with you if you're curious, where I don't let anyone with these character traits anywhere near the castle.
I love that. So One of the things that I think that Alan, that you are exemplifying to our leaders, right, as we make this practical, is it's really important that you as a leader, if you have a leadership team, that the leadership team is aligned, that you have the conversations, not just about like what is the mission we need to execute, but what is it that our company needs? Who are the type of characteristics, the players that we actually need, and then you hire based on that so that you can have efficiency within the system. So Alan, I have two final questions that I want to ask you, and I really want to hear your perspective on this because I know that there are leaders who are listening and they're saying, "Okay, I got it. Peak performance optimization. I want that." But then there's that question of, okay, so how do I really do this, right? So I want to ask you this question: how can leaders practice peak performance in the day to day?
I think our habits are sort of the foundation of the pyramid.
Hmm.
And I'm a big math guy. I love geometry. And the cool thing about a pyramid is that the foundation has to get wider before it gets taller.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people want to be taller and want to be seen and want to be valued and want to be significant, but they don't widen the foundation first.
Mm.
And the foundation is who you are and what you are when no one's watching. So I think we all have to live in two worlds. And I think we're usually really good at one or the other. We're very rarely good at both. I'm working on both, but I'm much better at one than the other. So past Alan, before a car accident, I got in at 26. My dad died in a car when he was 28. And I got in a bad car accident at 26. I was very successful in corporate, but I had my syntax wrong, and I'll explain. So we all have to live in two worlds. We have to live in the real world, which is who you are and what you are when no one's watching, and then we have to live in the social world. The social world is social media, your reputation, your place in the marketplace, your resume, your cover letter. The real world is your character and your marriage and the things that your body, your physique, your health. And to me, I had them backwards. So in the past, before my car accident at 26, when I had my wake-up call, my fault, I was social world first, real world second. I was decent at both, but social world first. So I had high school friends and college friends and corporate friends. And I had a great reputation, and I made tons of money, and I was a global 1% earner in tech companies, and I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in a Vanguard account. And I realized in hindsight after my car accident that I was playing the wrong game. So I was social world first, and I was real world second. The best way to describe this is the social world is the wedding photos, the real world is the actual marriage. Mm-hmm. And in the past, I had photos of a relationship that looked really happy, that behind the scenes we were not happy. And now I couldn't possibly even put a photo on that would even come close to where I am right now.
That's awesome.
Now, thank you. It's the greatest gift of my freaking life, honestly. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even be on this podcast if it wasn't for this relationship, because she's helped me. Like, every great man has an amazing woman by his side. And she has helped me unlock so much. I mean, she's my Sigma woman. It's unbelievable. Okay, so that said, in the past, it was social world first, real world second. Mm-hmm. If you want to practice peak performance, you've got to go real world first, social world second. Now, the problem is the economy is the social world. Mm-hmm. The economy is the packaging and the nice outfit and the awards in the background. But I want to be better behind the scenes when no one's watching than I am on this podcast. Mm. And when you do that and you prioritize that, you will get to be on podcasts. You will get to be a leader. I think you earn leadership with your habits every day. And so I've tracked habits every day for 10 years. I used to carry around these little black notebooks. They're over there in the corner of my office. And then eventually it was flashcards. And then I had piles of them. And I was like, I got to save the trees. So I digitized it. I digitized it all. It's all on Google Sheets now. But habits and habit tracking is where it has to start. You cannot be a peak performer. Imagine if Michael Phelps' coach said, hey, Mike, just swim around. You have to measure every day, and you have to have clear goals that you are consistently making meaningful progress toward, and you have to, most importantly, you have to measure. I'm a numbers guy, so I know I'm biased, but if you're winging it, you will not sustainably create peak performance without lying, stealing, or cheating. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people doing that.
You earn leadership with your habits every day. All right. Those of us who are listening, this is another great place for reflection. What are your habits saying about your leadership? What are your habits saying about what you prioritize, right? Alan said to us, you want to be this great leader, right? You don't start just being this great leader. It's what you do when nobody's watching. It's what the disciplines that you have that will, if you're just naturally living them out, then that will propel you to what you are seeking to become. I absolutely love this. So here's the final question, right? For our leaders who are listening, if a leader could only change one thing to immediately improve their team's effectiveness, what would you tell them to focus on first?
Do a frustration audit.
Mm,
I think
okay.
that we are taught when we're younger that frustration is bad.
Hmm.
I think frustration is your highest self poking you on the shoulder,
Mhm.
saying, hey, Alan, there's a person, place, thing, or idea in the way of your goals or in the way of a core value. You want to achieve something of meaning, and
Mhm.
someone or something is in the effing way.
Mm.
So a frustration audit will change your life. A frustration audit is simple. Pull
Yes.
out a journal, whatever you do, write down, pen and paper, because your central nervous system is attached to it. It's better than keyboards. You can do a keyboard if you want. And just type out, brain dump on a piece of paper, everything that pisses you off, everything that bothers you, the injustices in the world, the injustices in your life, the injustices in your past. Get it out. You got to get it out. Otherwise, the volcano is going to explode and hurt somebody. And when you do, you find patterns.
Mm.
And what you'll find is that deep down, you're actually frustrated with yourself because you're being a coward.
Mm.
You don't have the courage, the humility, or the vulnerability to face that you are the problem.
Mm.
It wasn't my fault my dad died when I was 2. It wasn't my fault my stepdad left. It wasn't my fault my childhood was unreasonably difficult. But it
Mhm.
is my responsibility to find a way to make a life out of that. No one's coming to save me. And when I
Mm.
do a frustration audit, what you realize underneath it is I didn't do all I could with all I had, and there's something in me that has to grow. And I think
Mm.
that that's a great place to start. And then if you do that, your team will inevitably be more effective. And what you're going to find is you're frustrated with some of your team, and then you can actually target that constraint and have a tough conversation and figure out if it's you or them. And just go into it with nonviolent communication and say, hey, these are the first, I did a frustration audit. You can literally show it to them, and you're on it. And I want to clear the air here. What's going on? I did this with one of my team members. Her name's Amy, and she has been on social media a lot lately. And over the summer, I saw her doing a lot of fishing and a lot of frolicking and a lot of fun. And I said, Amy, if you're going to be a number 3 at this company, I need you to be dialed in. And she said, Alan, I'm actually more dialed in than ever. You just don't know that because I'm doing social media a lot more. And I was like,
Mm.
that makes sense. Because once I saw her hours, it was more than I've ever seen from her. And so it's like, okay, perception versus reality. I'm glad we cleared the air. And now we've actually dialed in since then. So frustration audit is key. I think frustration is the byproduct of your highest self saying, hey, Alan, you have someone or something in the way of your true potential, and you got to do something about it, brother.
Mm. Wow. This has been like so rich. You have given us so many gems and nuggets. So, again, to our leaders who are listening and watching right now, I want to invite you to watch the replay and don't watch it by yourself. Watch it with someone else and actually have a discussion. Yet, we're ending on this point of practical. What is practical? Alan has reminded us to do a frustration audit. And I love the fact, Alan, that you said that you did it, but then you also did it with one of your team members, right? And I believe that there's so much that will come out of having honest and clear conversation so that you can build and have sustainability in the workplace and with your organization. Okay, so I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there are leaders who want to keep in touch with you, right? So talk to us for a moment about how can a leader engage with you, maybe the resources that you have available.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. So, the best way to get in touch with me these days is my Instagram account. That's not going to be my executive admin. It's not going to be my team. It's not going to be an AI bot. It's going to be me. Okay, I do something called the Next Level Sales System every single day, which is 35 touches a day. It's 5 posts, 5 comments, 5 DMs, 5 likes, 5 emails, 5 WhatsApp messages, and 5 invites every single day. 35 touches every day. And that's me personally doing it. So reach out on Instagram. That will actually be me. Now, what I do want to share with everybody is if you don't have work ethic, do not reach out, because I'm just going to be a pain in your butt. I'm a striver, not an arriver. I want people who have big goals and are willing to sacrifice to achieve them. If you want to enjoy your life and just kind of hang out, I'm not the coach for you. I'm not the podcaster for you. I'm not the trainer for you. And I need to be clear about that. Not everyone's for everybody, right? And you can go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com. You've got it up there. Thank you. And Next Level University is the name of the podcast. It's 1% improvement every day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. The mentor in your pocket that we wish we had when we were kids. Kevin and I grew up without dads, and we are the male role models we never had. And we were, what you create creates you. So the podcast has helped us grow into men instead of boys. And if you need a mentor in your pocket to keep you motivated, inspired, and educated, that we do an episode every single day. We have almost 2,200 episodes now. So every single day, and these are not small episodes. These aren't little quick 10-minute. These are, the average episode length I think is like 30 minutes.
Nice.
So we'll be in your pocket, we'll be in your ear every day. Imagine what you'd be capable of if you had your coach in your ear every day. I mean, everyone needs a great coach, everyone needs a great mentor, and that's what NLU is about.
I love it. I love it. All right. So Transformation Station community, we want to support Alan. We want to tap into the resources that he has. So as you see, the website is here. He's also on Instagram, has a daily podcast. You'll see his links in our description. Go ahead and engage. I want to invite you also to reach out to Alan. Let him know that you heard this podcast. Ask him any questions, engage, so that we can all continue to grow as an amazing leadership community. Alan, it's been wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Keep doing what you're doing, because leadership is the hardest thing in the entire world, and no one taught us much about it growing up. At least they didn't for me. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My honor. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it. All right. Thanks for tuning into this best in class episode of Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. If today's conversation gave you a new perspective on building stronger teams, I want to invite you to share this episode with another leader who could use it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss more tools, truth, and transformation to fuel your leadership journey. So, until next time, keep leading with resilience, purpose, and impact.